The Senate will come to order. I ask everyone to please rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Reverend Father Dan Quinn of Blessed Sacrament, Mater Christi, and All Saints Churches, 3 churches here in Albany, New York, will provide today's invocation.
Thank you, my brothers and sisters, members of the Senate and staff. I'm typically not dressed in a kilt, but it's St. Patrick's Day, so maybe I saw some of you last Monday at the Hibernian Hall, but the other day during Parade Day, and as you mentioned, I am the pastor of 3 parishes here in town and 3 schools, soon to be 2 schools, but during Parade Day the other day, our Bishop Ed Scharfenberger from the diocese here, he made a point of mentioning the importance of caring for the environment, and then he qualified that by saying, the environment is a soil in which we all grow. And that takes care, that actually is a bit more of an expansive definition. I say this because the prayer that I've selected for us today is written for us by St. Patrick, because it's St. Patrick's Day. And so this is a prayer that he wrote back in the 400s when he was alive. And it mentions creation, and it mentions the strength that God gives us through it. I mean, certainly particularly food, but though food grows in the soil, we also grow and are influenced by our environment, whether it's our air or our dirt or our neighborhoods or our digital environment or our traditions or our history, our philosophies that we espouse. We're influenced by all of these. Our growth is either influenced or stunted by the nutrients and the toxins in these environments. So it's a very long prayer, but I'm only going to use part of it because we only have a short time. And also, I'm going to use the part that isn't well known because that gives some variety. Everyone knows like the Christ beside me, Christ above me, et cetera, et cetera. So that's I'm going to skip that part because people know it. And then I'll do a brief like personal prayer, and then and then at the end I'm going to use the Serenity Prayer, which I think many of you might know. That's a common one that people know. And we could do that together if you want. I know that's like one that people associate with AA. It's part of an AA meeting, of course. But I consider it also important for like gardeners and stuff, for people who have to provide the right environment and then just let things happen. And that's, I think, partly your job too. You just provide the right environment and then step back and let things happen. So the prayer of St. Patrick. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. I arise today through a mighty strength, the invocation of the Trinity, through the belief in the threeness, through the confession of the oneness of the Creator of creation. I arise today through the strength of heaven, light of sun, radiance of moon, splendor of fire, speed of lightning, swiftness of wind, depth of sea, stability of earth, firmness of rock. I arise today through God's strength to pilot me, God's might to uphold me, God's wisdom to guide me, God's eye to look before me, God's ear to hear me, God's word to speak for me, God's hand to guard me. I summon today all these powers between me and those evils, against every cruel, merciless power that may oppose my body and soul. I arise today through a mighty strength, the invocation of the Trinity, through belief in the threeness, through confession of the oneness of the Creator of creation. Lord, give to those who are responsible for our laws here in this chamber and in the other, and all who work in government, either as elected or appointed or on staff, wisdom, as St. Patrick prayed for, that they may work their hardest to provide that the environment in which all of us in New York grow may have protection from evil, health, may be protected so that our lives may be lived in peace and security from conception to death. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the wisdom, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. May Almighty God bless you all, the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Reading of the journal.
In Senate, Friday, March 14, 2025, the Senate met pursuant to adjournment. The journal of Thursday, March 13, 2025, was read and approved. On motion, the Senate adjourned.
Without objection, the journal stands approved as read. Presentations of petitions, messages from the Assembly, messages from the Governor, reports of standing committees, reports of select committees, communications and reports from state officers, motions and resolutions. Senator Gianaris.
Good afternoon, Madam President. Let's begin by taking up previously adopted Resolution 448 by Senator Rivera. Read that resolution's title and recognize Senator Rivera.
The Secretary will read.
Resolution 448 by Senator Rivera, memorializing Governor Kathy Hochul to proclaim March 2025 as American Red Cross Month in the state of New York.
Senator Rivera on the resolution.
Thank you so much, Madam President, and good St. Patrick's Day to you. Happy St. Patrick's Day to all. So we are here this afternoon to do many things, certainly, but one of them that I wanted to take a minute to do is to talk about an organization that we see in every corner of the state, and certainly in many corners of our nation, and that is the Red Cross. I've learned much about the Red Cross in the time that I've been in the Senate. One of the things that I actually did not know, and I had the time to actually ride with them for a bit, is that basically the majority of the people that do work out there that actually keep people, that help people right after some of the worst moments in their life are actually volunteers. The overwhelming majority of people who are in the Red Cross are not employed by the Red Cross, and yet they give so much of their time to make sure that they can be there, again, when people are at their lowest, to provide them hope, to provide them help, and to give them a hand. And we are joined here by 14 volunteers from across the state. There are 3 in particular that I'd certainly want to underline, but before I mention those individuals, I just wanted to thank you not only for being here, but certainly for the work that you do each and every single day out there. Because again, when folks are at their lowest, seeing someone coming up in a red jacket, seeing somebody come to them and offering them help and assistance, you are there for people when they're at their lowest, and I've seen it myself. Many folks in my district, when they have been hit by floods or fires, you folks are right there. So thank you for doing that every single day. But there are 3 folks who are here with us today who are outstanding and distinguished humanitarians, and I wanted to point them out. And as I point you out, please stand so that you can be recognized. First, and I'm sure that I'm going to mispronounce the name, and I apologize ahead of time, Chuck Haupt. Not sure exactly how to pronounce the name, but Mr. Haupt is from Oswego. He has been deployed to a total of 44 disaster relief operations, both local and national, including some of the biggest disasters in our nation's history, from Hurricanes Harvey, Maria down in Puerto Rico. Muchas gracias por dar el viaje allá abajo. Thank you so much for traveling down there for that. And Hurricanes Ian, and also to recent wildfires that devastated areas around Los Angeles. We are also joined by Ashley Flowers from White Plains. Ms. Flowers is a volunteer who herself suffers from sickle cell disease, and she has had countless blood transfusions, and while she can't donate blood herself, she has become a blood donor ambassador to help others, and we certainly recognize you, Ms. Flowers, for all of that. Thank you for being with us. And last but certainly not least, we have Margie Davis from Cohoes, who's a retired New York Air National Guard nurse with a distinguished 20-year military career. Thank you for your service, Ms. Davis. She has continued to volunteer her time and expertise with the American Red Cross Services to the Armed Services Program. So these 3 wonderful folks are just some of the folks who do work, as I said, every day across the state. Just so that so my colleagues have some sense. Last year, the American Red Cross, just in New York State, assisted 6,500 households, over 6,500 households affected by 3,100 local disasters. And we're talking everything from floods to fires, etc. They hosted almost over 10,000 blood drives and collected more than 224,000 units of blood. They taught preparedness education to almost 28,000 adults and children and have donated in the state of New York over 518,000 hours of service. So we are incredibly thankful for what you do every day. And Madam President, I just want to make sure that we can salute their work, welcome them here, and give them all the privileges of the House. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Rivera. Senator Ryerson on the resolution.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you, Senator Rivera, for this resolution. I had the great fortune to be on the board of directors of the then Dutchess County chapter of the American Red Cross, starting in about 2003, 2004, and got to know up close and personal, the mission that they had and how they carried it out. And then in 2008, when I retired from the town of Poughkeepsie PD, I actually became a staff member, an employee of that chapter in Poughkeepsie. And there came a time when there was a devastating house fire in the town of Beekman on the east end of Dutchess County. And luckily, no one was injured, but the house was destroyed. And the folks that lived in that house were able to rent a house in the town of Poughkeepsie, and where members of our chapter went out to see how they were doing. And I went as well. And this was, of course, a very emotional time. They lost everything. The clothes that they had on their back that morning at about 5:30 when they were able to evacuate the house is all they had. And as they were recalling that moment when they realized their house was on fire and they had smoke alarms, which got them out, thankfully, they said that they were standing on the front lawn. The sun was coming up, and the fire was being extinguished, and the house obviously was gone, that people showed up, and they were wearing red jackets and red vests. And the mother of that family tapped on the shoulder and turned around, and there was a woman standing there and said, "We are with the Red Cross, and we're here to help you." And at that point in time, she said, "I know that we've lost everything, but here are people who are here to help us, to help our family." And that was something that she said was able to get her through the days after and the weeks after recovering their lives. And it was the American Red Cross that was there that morning to help them. And Madam President, again, Senator Rivera, thank you, and I proudly support this commemoration to a tremendous organization throughout this country, but right here in the state of New York.
Thank you. Senator Bailey on the resolution.
Thank you, Madam President. Senator Rivera, thank you for introducing this resolution. You spoke about the preparedness issues that the Red Cross assists with. They routinely help seniors install smoke detectors and so many really things that you think may be perfunctory but are really important to the day-to-day lives of New Yorkers. But I rise to speak about a devastating fire that happened in my district at 2910 Wallace Avenue. 5-story, 6-story building, six-story building completely gutted. Thank God nobody was injured or killed. But the lives of these individuals have forever been changed. And while things are not where they should be at all, as it relates to these young folks and these people in this building, the Red Cross stepped up immediately. Within an hour, within minutes, they came to the site, they offered temporary housing, and they came to a school that we had set up as a temporary holding site, and they responded and acted. And they helped to extend the temporary housing for individuals. So I just wanted to give a word of gratitude that it really is working in our communities. I just want to say thank you to them for the work that they did on that day, and so many things that we don't know that they do. I vote on the resolution. Thank you, Senator Rivera.
Thank you, Senator Bailey. Senator Wyke on the resolution.
Thank you. And I just want to say I'm so grateful to have this resolution today. The American Red Cross does so much wonderful work for our communities. I've been working with them for a long time. They offer so many great programs for children and for families and for fire prevention. In fact, the American Red Cross Home Fire Campaign installs free smoke alarms in homes that lack them and provide fire safety education. And that has been so helpful in my previous district, in my new district, as we've been working. So many communities benefit from this. We advertise it all the time with our social media to make sure that everyone understands what a great organization this is. how much they really are a part of our community. In fact, every time you see a disaster on the news, if you look carefully in the background, you always see an American Red Cross car in the background and volunteers helping out. I know that I think our nearest location is in Senator Hoylman's district in downtown, down in lower Manhattan. And I know congestion pricing was a big issue for them, so hopefully they've been able to get an exemption for that. But this is an organization that never stops giving and never stops committing to our communities. And for that, I'm so grateful for this resolution today, and I thank them for their work.
Thank you, Senator White. To our guests from the American Red Cross, and particularly our volunteers, all of you, we welcome you on behalf of the Senate. We extend to you the privileges and courtesies of the House. Please rise and be recognized. Senator Gianaris.
Madam President, there's a privileged resolution at the desk. Please take it up, read its title, and recognize Senator Sean Ryan on the resolution.
The Secretary will read.
Resolution 518 by Senator Kavanaugh. Resolution honoring St. Patrick and all persons of Irish descent upon the occasion of the 2025 celebration of St. Patrick's Day on March 17, 2025.
Senator Sean Ryan on the resolution.
Thank you very much, Madam President. I rise today to celebrate St. Patrick's Day and our proud Irish heritage here in New York State. With a name like Sean Ryan, you know my heritage, and I'm proud to be an Irish American, but also a member of the American Irish Legislators Society. Our president, Senator Kavanaugh, is down at the parade today, and he asked me to pinch hit for him. After spending the last several days celebrating St. Patrick's Day, my energy level is a little flagging today for the pinch hitting. So we start in Buffalo on Friday with a civic luncheon at the Irish Center, which then morphs into a large after-lunch celebration where a lot of people from out the city come over. And then on Saturday, we have an old neighborhood parade, which goes into Saturday evening, which is followed by Sunday morning celebration of the pre-large parade in downtown Buffalo. So we've been battling the weather all weekend, but we managed to have a lot of fun. And I'm happy to bring the celebration back to Albany. So there's over 2 million Irish descent. Let me do that again. There's 2 million New Yorkers of Irish descent. Irish Americans are the second largest ethnic group in New York State. In our hometown of Buffalo, Irish heritage traces back to first people coming in the early 1800s through various neighborhoods in the city. But from Buffalo to Brooklyn and Boston and everywhere in between, Irish communities can be felt and their influence can be felt all over the Northeast. The first parade in America was in the 1600s. St. Augustine, Florida, the Spanish colony, had an Irish priest who held a feast day and a parade for the Irish laborers who were working then in Florida. But it's a great day of celebration. But St. Patrick's Day has always got a tinge of sadness in it because Irish immigration to America didn't really start until the 1840s. And that's when a great famine hit Ireland and over 1 million people starved to death. And 1 million people were put on boats to come to America, and they fled what in Ireland they call the Great Hunger. And that was followed by, or part of, colonialism, economic privation. And so from 1840, there was 8 million people living in Ireland. And by 1960, there was only 5 million people living in Ireland. So the whole country was really destabilized by the famine. But that famine is what brought us Irish Americans, Irish Canadians, Irish Australians, because the Irish diaspora spread around the world at that time. So we're a nation of immigrants. Irish immigrants came to New York. We helped build New York, the Erie Canal, Manhattan skyscrapers, our roads, our bridges, all benefited from Irish labor. And at this very capital that we stand in today, it was English, Scottish, and Irish stonemakers, masons, and stoneworkers who put the capital together. So today we appreciate our Irish heritage, the impact that Irish Americans have had on New York State, but we also pause to think about people around the world who are living in famine and starvation. I was in Ireland several times, but most recently there was a time when there was a famine going on, and every church in Ireland was making collections to send famine relief. And they're always making collections to send famine relief somewhere in Ireland, because the great famine is still with the Irish people. So we celebrate, we remember. It's a cliche, but everyone's Irish today. And so on behalf of my Irish colleagues in the Senate, we're happy to allow everyone to claim Irish descent today. But also, on behalf of every Irish American, I want to thank America for being the beacon of liberty and freedom that welcomed the teeming masses of Irish that were tired and poor and were huddled masses and were allowed to be free in America. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Ryan. Senator Cooney on the resolution.
Thank you, Madam President. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you. I know I've had a chance to visit your district in Yonkers and the Majority Leader's district in Yonkers, which is a large Irish American population. Happy St. Patrick's Day to all of my colleagues in the Senate, and so many New Yorkers have such deep ties to their Irish roots, including, despite this South Asian tan, the Cooney family of Rochester. And we felt the excitement this past weekend because for the first time in 5 years since the pandemic, we saw the streets of Rochester filled with green. And I was so pleased to walk alongside our county executive and our mayor as we celebrated St. Patrick's Day in Rochester. But here's a fun fact to share with our Senate colleagues. Many, many, many years ago, Rochester was actually the 4th largest city per capita with an Irish population. So, of course, Boston and New York and Chicago, but then came Rochester. And that just says what my colleague, Senator Ryan, said. We are a welcoming state. We are a welcoming community that has welcomed in immigrants from all over our world. And we remember that this St. Patrick's Day. Thank you.
Senator Bailey on the resolution.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to briefly say, in honor of my former seatmate, Tim Kennedy, I will read the entire history of the diaspora in America. Just kidding. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody.
Thank you, Senator Bailey. Senator Scarcella Spanton on the resolution.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I know this is probably surprising to everybody, given my last name, Scarcella, but I am 51% Irish. So that is truly where my roots lie. Growing up, I picture my grandmother making corned beef and cabbage in her green robe and her green apron with her shamrock on the front. But the Sullivan side of my family on Staten Island truly celebrates this day, and we always have. It reminds me of my childhood. I'm happy this year my own children were able to finally march in the Staten Island St. Patrick's Day Parade. First year it's ever been inclusive, so we're very excited about that. I just wanted to wish everybody a very, very happy St. Patrick's Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. The question is on the resolution. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The resolution is adopted. Senator Gianaris.
The sponsors of today's resolutions would like to open them for co-sponsorship.
The resolutions are open for co-sponsorship. Should you choose not to be a co-sponsor on these resolutions, please notify the desk. Senator Gianaris.
Madam President, I have a motion on behalf of Senator Harkam on page 30. I offer the following amendments to Calendar 520, Senate Print 5983, and ask that said bill retain its place on the third reading calendar.
The amendments are received, and the bill will retain its place on the third reading calendar. Senator Gianaris.
Let's take up the calendar now, please.
The Secretary will read. There's a substitution at the desk. The Secretary will read.
Senator Rivera moves to discharge from the Committee on Rules Assembly Bill number 5572, a substitute for the identical Senate Bill 814, third reading calendar 88.
Read the last section. Oh, substitution so ordered. The Secretary will read.
Calendar number 88, Assembly number 5572 by Assembly Member Zinnerman, an act to amend the public health law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 60.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 219, Senate Print 3406 by Senator Comrie, an act to amend the executive law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the 1st of January.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 219, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Ashby, Borrello, Chan, Gallivan, Obracker, O'Mara, Ort, Steck, Tedisco, and Walzek. Also, Senator Griffo, ayes 49, nays 11.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 273, Senate Print 1468 by Senator Serrano, enactment of the Public Health Law.
Read the last section.
Section 7, this act shall take effect on the 1st of January.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 273, voted in the negative, Senator Walzek, ayes 59, nays 1.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 312, Senate Print 4434 by Senator Skoufis, enactment of the Education Law.
Read the last section.
Section 3, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 312, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Ashby, Borrello, Kazan Fitzpatrick, Chan, Griffo, Helming, Lanza, Martins, Matera, Murray, Obracker, O'Mara, Ort, Rhodes, Rawson, Steck, Tedisco, Walzek, Weber, and White. Ayes 40, nays 20.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 355, Senate Print 3100 by Senator Rivera, enactment of the Social Services Law.
Read the last section.
Section 4, this act shall take effect on the 1st of January.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce results.
In relation to calendar 355, voted in the negative are Senators Ort and Walzek, ayes 58, nays 2.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 411, Senate Print 2541 by Senator Myrie, enactment of the Election Law.
The bill is laid aside.
Calendar number 438, Senate Print 4925 by Senator Ramos, enactment of the Labor Law.
The bill is laid aside.
Calendar number 450, Senate Print 4805 by Senator C. Ryan, enactment of the Real Property Tax Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce results.
Ayes 60.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 471, Senate Print 1574 by Senator Kruger, enactment of the Public Authorities Law.
The bill is laid aside.
Calendar number 476, Senate Print 1188 by Senator Adabo, enactment of the General Business Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the 60th day, it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce results.
Ayes 60.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 489, Senate Print 1816 by Senator Fernandez, enactment of the Public Health Law.
Read the last section.
Section 3, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce results.
In relation to calendar 49, voted in the negative are Senators Oberecker and White, ayes 58, nays 2.
The bill is passed. Senator Gianaris, that completes the reading of today's calendar.
Please move on to the controversial calendar.
The secretary will ring the bell. The secretary will read.
Calendar number 411, Senate Print 2541 by Senator Myrie, enactment of the Election Law.
Who's debating this bill? Senator Lanza, why do you rise?
Madam President, I believe there's an amendment at the desk. I waive the reading of that amendment and ask that you recognize Senator Walzek.
Thank you, Senator Lanza. Upon review of the amendment, in accordance with Rule 6, Section 4B, I rule it non-germane and out of order at this time.
Accordingly, Madam President, I appeal the ruling of the chair and ask that Senator Walzek be heard on that appeal.
The appeal has been made and recognized, and Senator Walzek may be heard.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I offer the following amendments to this bill as germane. This is an elections bill, the bill in chief that is brought before us here today. The sponsor's goal is to provide accountability of ballots by unfunded mandate to electronic ballot images being posted by Board of Elections within a week of our elections. This amendment ensures that Board of Elections has access to federal resources, so only citizens of the United States who can be registered, and nobody from Belarus or Mexico or Venezuela are illegally voting in New York's elections. People require two-factor authentication just to sign into an application on their phone. The least we could do in this body is to ensure that non-citizens aren't voting in our elections. And by entering into the SAVE program, which is the amendment that I offer here today, our Board of Elections will work in a bipartisan way with U.S. Citizen and Immigration Services Agency to do that authentication and ensure that no legal citizen's vote is canceled through non-citizen fraud. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Walczak. I want to remind the House that the vote is on the procedures of the House and the ruling of the chair. Those in favor of overruling the chair signify by saying aye.
Aye. Show of hands.
A show of hands has been requested and so ordered. Announce the results.
Ayes 21.
The ruling of the chair stands and the bill in chief is before the House. Read the last section.
Section 2, this action will take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Store Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 411, voted in the negative are Senators Ashby, Borrello, Kenzay Fitzpatrick, Chan, Gallivan, Griffo, Helming, Lanza, Martins, Matera, Murray, Oberacker, O'Mara, Ort, Rhodes, Robinson, Steck, Tedisco, Walczak, Weber, and White. Ayes 39, nays 21.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 438, Senate Print 4925 by Senator Ramos, enactment of the labor law.
Senator rise.
Madam President, I hope the sponsor of this legislation would yield for some questions.
Senator Ramos, do you yield for a question?
Absolutely.
Yes, the senator yields.
Through you, Madam President. So this bill expands the requirement of employers in New York for written workplace violence prevention programs to include abusive conduct and bullying. Is that correct?
Through you, Madam President, only in the public sector.
And through you, Madam President, would the sponsor continue to yield?
Do you continue to yield?
I do.
Senator yields.
Just going to read a bit from a veto message from the governor. This is veto message 130. This bill, however, does not define the specific conduct that is being prohibited, which would likely lead to confusion for employees, desperate application of the laws, and potential legal challenges. My administration will continue to work closely with the state's public employees unions to address the concerns presented by this bill. Therefore, I am constrained to veto this bill from our Governor, Kathy Hochul. Have any definitions been changed or cleared up in the bill that you're bringing forward since this was vetoed?
Through you, Madam President, bless you.
Thank you.
Through you, Madam President, the law doesn't delve deeper even about sexual harassment. We have not changed any iteration of the bill and are proceeding as is.
And through you, Madam President, would the sponsor continue to yield?
You continue to yield?
Yes.
Senator yields.
Well, perhaps this line of questioning will be helpful for the governor in future reviews of this as we get some of the legislative intent out here. Current law has assault and homicide as abusive conduct. Would you consider spitting at an employee of the state of New York or throwing feces, or if an employee in the state of New York had to be Narcaned because of the abusive environment that they're in, would that be considered abusive conduct on the job in the state of New York?
Through you, Madam President, I don't know whether the governor watches Senator Walczak's debate questions routinely, but the behavior that the senator is describing is already covered in the law. What this bill is about is training for the current workers and supervisors in the public sector.
And through you, Madam President, would the sponsor continue to yield?
You continue to yield?
Yes.
Senator yields.
My understanding is this legislation isn't just training, but also workplace policies and a prevention program. Is that correct?
Through you, Madam President, yes, it is.
And would the sponsor continue to yield?
You continue to yield?
Yes.
Senator yields.
Which employers does this apply to?
Through you, Madam President, the state of New York and its agencies.
So, through you, Madam President, would the sponsor continue to yield?
You continue to yield?
Yes.
Senator yields.
So corrections officers, this would apply to them?
Madam President, yes, they are state employees.
Through you, Madam President, would the sponsor continue to yield?
You continue to yield?
Yes.
The senator yields.
Should the Department of Corrections and Community Supervision have a written plan to prevent violent criminals from abusing and bullying staff within our correctional facilities in the state of New York?
Through you, Madam President, that is not what this bill does. This bill is about the employees receiving training and their supervisors receiving training.
Through you, Madam President, would the sponsor continue to yield?
You continue to yield?
I do.
Reading from line 18 on the first page of your bill, it's paragraph 4, written workplace violence prevention program. Every employer with at least 20 full-time permanent employees shall develop and implement a written workplace violence prevention program for its workplace or workplaces. That includes, and it goes on to say the following, which is the section of law that you have. So are you saying that this doesn't actually require the change, abusive conduct and bullying in the workplace, to be added to that prevention program?
Through you, Madam President, line 18 of the bill is already part of state law and is not the part that I'm amending.
And through you, Madam President, would the sponsor continue to yield?
You continue to yield?
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
So abusive conduct and bullying is being added to that same section. So section 4 says the workplace violence prevention program, as I understand it, and you're adding, in addition to a list of things, a list of risk factors that employers have to identify, high-risk areas, installing external lighting, using drop safes, posting signs, providing training. This is all part of the program, and also establishing and implementing reporting systems for incidents of aggressive behavior, abusive conduct, and bullying. So my understanding, at least from the legislation, the way that you've drafted it, is that abusive conduct and bullying would have to be a part of that workplace violence prevention program. Am I reading it wrong?
Through you, Madam President, yes, the senator is, because what I'm amending is part of Section 3 and not Section 4.
And through you, Madam President, would the sponsor continue to yield?
You continue to yield?
Yes.
The senator yields.
So would this would apply to just the Department of Corrections in order to do what then?
Through you, Madam President, it doesn't only apply to the Department of Corrections. It applies to every single state agency and the state of New York as a whole as an employer. So the change is to Section 3, which outlines risk evaluation and determination and compels every employer covered by the law to evaluate its workplace or workplaces to determine the presence of factors or situations in which the employees might be at certain risks of occupational assaults and homicides.
And through you, Madam President, would the sponsor continue to yield?
You continue to yield?
Yes.
The senator yields.
And what you just listed off was the current statute, but you're adding abusive conduct and bullying to that same program. Is that correct?
Yes.
And through you, Madam President, would the sponsor continue to
You
yield?
continue to yield?
Yes.
The senator yields.
And currently in statute, in this same section, is also required to have a written workplace violence prevention program. Is that correct?
Through you, Madam President, that has already been part of the law.
And through you, Madam President, if the sponsor would continue to yield.
You continue to yield?
Yes.
The senator yields.
So abusive conduct and bullying in the workplace are added under the current statute, which requires a written workplace violence prevention program. Is that correct?
Yes, Madam President, that is correct.
Thank you. And through you, Madam President, would the sponsor continue to yield?
You continue to yield?
Yes.
The senator yields.
Would this apply to the New York National Guard?
Okay. Through you, Madam President, my understanding is if they're activated by the state, then yes.
Madam President, would the sponsor continue to yield?
You continue to yield?
Yes.
Yes, senator yields.
So we currently have an obligation to have a workplace violence prevention program that tries to prevent assault and homicide, you're adding to the law also bullying and abusive conduct, correct?
Yes, through you, Madam President, yes.
And through you, Madam President, would the sponsor continue to yield?
Do you continue to yield?
I do.
Senator yields.
Should the Department of Corrections have a written plan to prevent abusing and bullying staff?
Madam President, I see where the senator is going. I'm the chair of the Labor Committee, and I happen to be the sponsor of the bill to end a mandated third shift for correction workers. That is not what this bill is about. And yes, every worker without exception should be safe at work.
Through you, Madam President, would the sponsor continue to yield?
You continue to yield?
Yes.
Senator yields.
In a workplace violence prevention program, applying it to somewhere like corrections facilities in the state of New York, should the Department of Corrections be able to separate violent inmates from staff if they continue to reoffend?
Through you, Madam President, that is not what this bill does. What this bill does is mandate state agencies and the state of New York to have a plan and train their employees and supervisors.
Through you, Madam President, would the sponsor continue to yield?
You continue to yield?
Why not?
Senator yields.
As part of the written workplace violence prevention program that we're discussing here, should the Department of Corrections be able to separate violent inmates who continue to reoffend from staff, and especially in a special housing unit within our correctional facilities?
President, that is not germane to this bill. This bill is entirely about employees and their supervisors.
Through you, Madam President, would the sponsor continue to yield?
Do you continue to yield?
Yes.
Senator yields.
Shifting off of corrections officers and just at large to the state employees that this applies to, if a coworker said to me, for example, because of my party registration that I want everyone to die, would that constitute bullying? Do you?
Madam President, absolutely. That would even be abusive conduct. And I'll add, as long as through you, Madam President, you know, there have been many instances in where supervisors and state agencies have been bullying employees, and unfortunately, this past December, a state employee died by suicide because he felt he was being bullied by one of his supervisors.
Madam President, on the bill.
Senator Walczyk on the bill.
A few weeks ago, a colleague from the other side of the aisle, who we've heard their voice recently, said that I guess the Republicans just want everyone to die, which apparently the New York State Senate needs a training program on workplace violence, abusiveness, and bullying. I'll spare you the name of that senator. You could look up the transcript. I'll be voting no, Madam President.
Are there any other senators wishing to be heard? Seeing and hearing none, debate is closed. The secretary will ring the bell. Read the last section.
Section 2, this action take effect on the 180th day of the shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Senator Ramos to explain her vote.
Madam President, you know, the point had been made that there are many times when our colleagues across the aisle vote against the remedy or root cause of the issue, and then the times that we propose the cure or the medicine for the issue, they vote against that as well. And so that is what was meant by them then not wanting to help anyone. And I think for a long time, many of us, especially those of us who are people of color, have felt that way about the party. And you need only to look at what is happening even at our federal level, or how divided our country has been over so many issues, for many Republicans to probably understand what is happening and why that is. That being said, what this bill is about is making sure that the supervisors, commissioners, our state agencies, and our state employers have training available in order to ensure that no worker is being bullied on the job. I want to extend my sympathies to correction officers who don't have an EC job, especially in a state where the previous governor closed so many of our mental health facilities, which would be the appropriate place for many of the people who are currently incarcerated to be properly handled by professionals and not by the correction officers who might not have received the appropriate training to do that. And as usual, this, I'm sure, was an attempt to have a gotcha moment, and I'm happy the senator got his clip.
Senator Ramos to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the result.
In relation to count of 438, those senators voting in the negative are Senators Chan, Helming, Murray, Oberacker, Walczak, and White. Ayes 54, nays 6. Excuse me. Also, Senator Borrello. Ayes 53, nays 7.
The bill is passed. Who's?
Calendar number 471, Senate Print 1574 by Senator Krueger, enactment of the Public Authorities Law.
Senator Walczak, why do you rise?
I'm back, Madam President. Happy St. Patrick's Day. I was hoping the sponsor would yield for some questions.
Senator Krueger, do you yield?
Well, I do in honor of St. Patrick's Day. You know, we have 100 memos in support and not one memo opposed, so I'm delighted that Senator Walczak has decided to question me.
Senator Walczak?
It could be your lucky day. We might even talk about four-leaf clovers if the sponsor would yield.
Senator Krueger, do you yield?
Of course.
The senator yields.
This bill's goal is to reduce gas emissions, improve air quality, reduce noise in landscaping equipment by creating a rebate program for certain landscaping equipment. Is that correct?
Yes, all good goals.
And through you, Madam President, would the sponsor continue to yield?
You continue to yield?
I do.
Senator yields.
Is there money in the budget for this?
Through you, Madam President, NYSERDA has funds through the RGGI program that they have flexibility about how they use. This bill gives them the flexibility to use some of their funds for this purpose and set whatever limits they wish, a maximum cap on the amount per year or a cap on the rebate for different kinds of equipment.
And through you, Madam President, would the sponsor continue to yield?
You continue to yield?
I do.
Senator yields.
I missed the part of this bill where it prescribes that RGGI funding would be used. Would you point that out to me?
So I'm sorry. So it's an example of the type of funds that NYSERDA has available that are allowed to be used for these purposes. They have
Madam
other
President,
funds as well.
Well, excuse me,
Oh, I'm
Senator
sorry.
Krueger didn't finish.
I'm sorry, of course I allow, I just going, they have other funding streams available as well where they have flexibility, but that seemed like an obvious match. And certainly I'm happy to answer more questions.
Apologies. Thank you for finishing there. If the sponsor would continue to yield.
You continue to yield?
Yes.
Senator yields.
So some of those other lines would be, for example, systems benefit charges, a charge on everyone's bill across the state of New York. NYSERDA, if not prescribed and doesn't have access to another pot of funding, that would come directly from the ratepayer. Is that correct?
Madam President, I don't think that NYSERDA would ever need to go down this path, given the expectations of how much would be applied for as tax incentives each year. So I'm not really concerned about that storyline.
Through you, Madam President, would the sponsor continue to yield?
Do you continue to yield?
Yes.
The senator yields.
Who's eligible for the rebates in this electronic landscaping equipment program?
Companies and other companies using, industrial-sized equipment, not private individuals for their homes.
Through you, Madam President, would the sponsor continue to yield?
You continue to yield?
Yes.
The senator yields.
Municipalities as well?
Do municipalities have tax incentives that they can take? It's a good question. I would have to follow up for you on that.
Through you, Madam President, would the sponsor continue to yield?
You continue to yield?
Yes.
Senator yields.
So line 16 and 17 of the first page of your bill say landscaping business or state agency, state authority, local authority, town, county, village, school district, private school, university, not-for-profit corporation, or any other nonprofit organization. Would all those be eligible for this equipment?
I stand corrected. They would be eligible. And in fact, of those 100 memos and support I got, they included some of exactly those municipalities and local communities. So, yes.
President, would the sponsor continue to yield?
Do you continue to yield?
I do.
Senator yields.
Noteworthy missing from that list was individual New Yorkers. Are they somewhere else in the bill, or are individuals eligible?
No, individuals are not eligible.
And through you, Madam President, would the sponsor continue to yield?
You continue to yield?
Yes.
Senator yields.
What about independent businesses that aren't specifically landscaping companies? Could they be a part of this program?
Just commercial landscaping businesses.
Through you, Madam President, would the sponsor continue to yield?
Do you continue to yield?
Yes.
Senator yields.
So there's a list of equipment under the definition here that would qualify and shall be included in this program. That includes walking and riding lawnmowers, hedge trimmers, leaf blowers, mulchers, chippers, chainsaws, cultivators. Am I also seeing snow blowers?
Yes, we do see snow blowers.
Through you, Madam President, would the sponsor continue to yield?
Do you continue to yield?
Yes.
Senator yields.
Have you ever used an electric snow blower?
I have not.
Through you, Madam President, would the sponsor continue to yield?
Do you continue to yield?
Yes.
Sponsor yields.
I also see snow shovels listed in your bill. What is an electric snow shovel?
President, through you, I think an electric snowblower is an electric version of a gas snowblower. If I'm wrong and there aren't snowblowers, nobody's going to be buying them.
Through you, Madam President, the question, let me say again, because I listed off all of those things. Yeah, very specifically.
Senator Walczyk, are you asking
Oh,
if
I'm
the
asking
senator
the
will
sponsor
yield?
to yield. Yeah, apologies.
Yes, I
The
do.
senator will yield.
Thank you. Line 9 of page 2 lists, and it goes from pole saws, augers, cultivators, tillers, which is some farm equipment, snow blowers, and snow shovels. I'm wondering specifically, what is an electronic snow shovel? I'm only familiar with the old technology of a snow shovel.
Looking on Google, because my staff handily typed in electric snow shovels, and they exist. Do I know whether you would like one or I would like one? I don't know. But they are for sale, so hence they exist, so they might be used, depending, I guess, on how much snow you have. Thank you.
Madam President, would the sponsor continue to yield? You learn something new every day. Are batteries better for the environment than plug-in electronic devices? So if you have a battery-powered device, would it be better to have that battery, or would it be better to have a corded electronic device for the environment?
Madam President, I'm not an engineer, so I don't know that answer. I believe under this bill, if it's an electric versus a gas piece of equipment, it would be eligible. So conceivably, some of these would be battery. Some of them could be plugged in. But whether one is better than the other, I don't know. What I do know is both of them are better than gas-powered equipment. And in fact, the Pediatric Association, in their memo, pointed out that gas-powered lawn equipment contributes ground-level ozone and fine particulate pollution, where even short-term exposure to these pollutants can cause or contribute to asthma, heart attacks, cardiovascular diseases, and premature death. It's estimated that in 2020 alone, gas-powered lawn equipment in New York produced almost 1.4 million tons of climate pollution, the equivalent to the emissions from more than 300,000 cars annually.
And through you, Madam President, would the sponsor continue to yield?
Do you continue to yield?
I do.
The senator yields.
Yeah, I know it may be unfair either or, but when you consider the mining of rare earth metals across the world, the manufacturing process, and then we've even taken up some legislation recently in this body for disposal or recycling of different battery products. Would you consider the carbon footprint of a battery-operated device to be higher than one that is plugged in with electric cord and doesn't have a battery?
Again, Madam President, I'm not sure that I am an engineer qualified to answer that question. Again, both of those options are better from an environmental and health safety perspective than gas-powered machinery.
If the sponsor would continue to yield.
Do you continue to yield?
Yes.
The senator yields.
But this legislation here, if both are better, this legislation here actually specifically dictates that corded electronic equipment, reel mowers or tractors used to pull other lawn care devices are not eligible. So why wouldn't we include corded devices in this legislation if the purpose and goal is for air quality to reduce noise pollution and reduce emissions?
Turns out that the kind of equipment that institutional users, not private users, buy are actually not corded products. So that this bill, as it evolved and became only eligible for non-personal use, really ended up with corded options not being available. So I guess the answer is this is for other forms of electric products, not corded electric products, if that helps.
Madam President, if the sponsor would continue to.
Do you continue to yield?
I do.
Senator yields.
Yeah, so just that point of clarification. So the plug-in electronic products are not eligible, am I reading that correct? And this would just be for battery operated?
Yes, because there really aren't corded products that would work at this volume.
Thank you, Madam President.
Before I sit down?
Yes, Senator Murray, why do you rise?
Madam President, would the sponsor yield for one question?
Senator Krueger, do you yield?
I would.
Senator yields.
Thank you, Senator. When you were reading off that statement with the statistics about the effect it has on the environment, did it also break down the difference between commercial and individual? For example, lawnmower usage among individuals who are not eligible for this rebate?
For you. So I don't believe either document broke it down that way, but there are many references to the data. Respiratory Health Association, U.S. Environmental Protection Association, Environment America, Public Interest Research Group, U.S. EPA, characterization of emissions from gas-driven lawn equipment, et cetera. So it's conceivable I could find you that data, influence of background. Oh, I'm sorry, the one thing that didn't get raised is that the noise level from electric equipment is dramatically less than gas-powered. And so the American Pediatric Association and others have also highlighted the decreased damage to hearing from using electric products instead of gas products. And I'm looking at the memo from the American Academy of Pediatrics to see whether they break down. And they have lots of data here that I'm happy to share with you, but I don't think they break it down by individual and non-individual, although I certainly would encourage individual homeowners also to make the decision to use electric versus gas, because it is healthier and it's much less noisy. I know when I did a press event in Westchester County, people came out to say, we love this because we can't stand the noise in our communities. I myself have no neighbors that use lawn equipment at all since it's Manhattan.
Thank you, Madam President. On the bill?
Senator Murray on the bill.
Yeah, my point to that was that we have literally tens of millions, myself included, who take care of their own lawn, individuals. And if it is so important that we cut down on the emissions that are generated by these gas mowers, it is so important, even as you mentioned, that we cut down on the noise pollution. Why are we not including individuals with this incentive-type program? That was my point. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Murray. Senator Tedisco, why do you rise?
For a question, would the senator yield for
Senator
just
Krueger,
a clarification?
Do you yield for a clarification?
Of course.
Just
Yes,
a quick
Senator.
clarification. I'm not talking about individual homeowners or things like that, but in terms of owning a business and being commercial, we have one person who does a lot of neighborhoods, landscaping, mowing. He's the only person that owns the business. You don't have to have a certain number of employees to get this rebate. If you're the one employee, you own your business, they would qualify for that. Singular employee.
Yes.
Business. Thank you.
Welcome.
Are there any other senators wishing to be heard? Seeing and hearing none, debate is closed. The secretary will ring the bell. Read the last section.
Section 2, this action take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Janoris Kruger, Ort, Storcuttens White.
Senator May to explain her vote.
Thank you, Madam President. I want to thank the sponsor of this bill. Years ago, I was caring for a loved one who was undergoing treatment for cancer, and during the treatment, we moved in with my mother, who lived in a suburban town, because we thought it would be nice and quiet and a place where he could sleep during the day. And it turned out that every single hour of every day, there was a lawnmower or a leaf trimmer or an edge trimmer or a leaf blower operating within 100 feet of our house, it seemed like. And it was almost impossible for him to sleep. So we ended up moving back into our urban apartment where the car noise and the bus noise was far less than the noise of the landscaping equipment all around us. We talk about the emissions from these, but the noise that they produce is truly disturbing for people who are trying to get a child to sleep or are trying to recover from an illness. And so I'm grateful that we are trying to incentivize this kind of much quieter technology so that we can have healthier environments for people to just take care of themselves. So I vote aye. Thank you.
Senator May to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results.
In relation to Calendar 471, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Gallivan, Griffo, Lanza, Murray, O'Mara, Ort, Steck, Walzig, and White. Ayes 51, nays 9.
Bill is passed. Senator Gianaris, that completes the reading of today's calendar.
Is there any further business at the desk?
There is no further business at the
I
desk.
move to adjourn until tomorrow, Tuesday, March 18th at 3 p.m.
On motion, the Senate stands adjourned until Tuesday, March 18th at 3 p.m.